Welcome back after break. We are starting the last part of BIM HydePark today and the second discussion panel today. We'll continue the discussion about BIM education. Some questions. Does a civil engineer need any additional competencies to use BIM? How to shape these competencies among contracting authorities, designers and contractors? Should they be standardized and certified? These are just few selected issues.
After the panel discussion, there will be a Q&A part, and I invite you to send the questions for our experts. And I invite you to the panel of the following experts. Lucy Swembelkova, Czech Standard Agency, Czech Republic. Hello. Thomas Lovas, Budapest University of Technology and Economics, Hungary. Hello. Mahmad Fawad, National University of Science and Technology, Pakistan. Hello. And Jacek Magiera, Kraków University of Technology, Poland.
Hello.
Cześć.
Okay, welcome to all our guests, our experts. And the first question will be directed to all of you. When to start BIM education? Already in high school, rather in universities, or maybe only in postgraduate studies? Let's start with Lucy.
Well, postgraduate is fine, I think. If you are in the right age to do it postgraduate, do it immediately, do it now. And let me emphasize one thing. The notion of lifelong learning resounds as intensely as BIM itself within the area of BIM education. The technical progress goes so fast that we'll need to adapt to new findings continuously, not only now with BIM. So future generations can catch up on other new subjects as well as our generation is catching up on BIM. And these are the most wanted skills that not just the industry professionals are asking for. The adaptability, the flexibility, the willingness to learn and readiness to acquire new knowledge and develop. If you can't do it postgraduate, if you can study postgraduate, you are good. Mm-hmm. However, in the Czech Republic, we think it would be good to start earlier at secondary education level in high schools and to continue more in detail at universities. And that's why we modified our educational frameworks. And the idea is, as you saw in my presentation, we think BIM will step by step create a natural part of the industry. So it's only natural to integrate it into the curricula as soon as you start talking about a building. You think it's too soon? We don't think so. Look just what they can do with the smartphone, our teenagers, huh? They can make it an extended eye, ear, or finger of theirs. The knowledge of our teenagers of all sorts of digital tools is amazing. And all we can do is just to try not to spoil it for them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lucy. And what's your opinion, Tamas, about this, particularly in secondary schools and education?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I agree with Lucy in the lifelong learning, and that's why we started our postgraduate program. But and obviously, I believe in teaching BIM in universities. That's why we launched our programs. But now I want to put emphasis on the secondary education, which is not about general high schools, because at high schools, students don't learn engineering disciplines, but there are the trade schools, tech schools, vocational schools, when the students are dealing with engineering disciplines. And although BIM is penetrated in the design phase, but at the construction phase, at the construction sites, not only engineers are working, and sooner or later, the workers, the construction workers need, or the team leaders need to use BIM. And that's why we need to teach BIM in secondary education. And I think the universities have the experience, so that's a way we can support secondary education. We currently run a pilot with 2 tech schools, and we are sharing with them our BIM education materials, and we organize them trainings. For example, one good example, since in these tech schools, engineers, usually the teachers are engineers themselves, and one of them at one high school or trade school attends our postgraduate program. So that's one way to get involved, and then sooner or later they will be alone teach the basics of BIM, to give a general overview of BIM. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's come to Mohammed. I know, Mohammed, that currently you are in Budapest, but we'd like to know what the idea of BIM education is in Pakistan, not in Budapest.
Oh, the sound.
You have to unmute your mic.
You are mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's okay.
I think we lost.
Okay. Am I audible? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Merrick. At BIM.
I have a problem with connection. Okay. Maybe we'll switch to Jacek with the same question, okay? And we'll wait for Mohammed yet.
Okay, thanks.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, continue. Yeah, if it's okay, just continue.
Okay. Okay. So, sorry for the interruption. As per my teaching experience and working with BIM, I think the emerging importance of the BIM emphasizes on its implementation in the bachelor's degree programs. Why I'm considering it for the university student, as this is the start of their professional degree. As they have more sense of professional degree and more familiar with the technologies that they have, technologies or the knowledge of the computer sciences that they have got from their high schools. Moreover, the university level degrees give more of hands-on training opportunities, so students can learn some very basics of the BIM technology. That might not be the case, that is not possible in case of the postgraduate studies. So when the student reaching to the PG level or the postgraduate level degree, they already have the knowledge of this domain, so they can work in the more deeper fields or can bring some new innovation. Furthermore, the benefits of BIM, like chances of getting hired for the internships and the jobs, also the help that you can produce drawing more efficiently. Also, it allows you to access various visualization and analysis tools. Besides this, it also produces and also gives you a chance to collaborate with your group fellows. So these all are the benefits that are mostly needed for and most suitable for the university students, not for the higher secondary level school students or the postgraduate students. So that's why I think so the best time is to start this education at the university level.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. How about Jacek?
Well, I think the keyword here is adaptivity as far as educational system is concerned, because I see from my experience, 6 years ago, we started the graduate level BIM program. And a few people, a few students after the undergraduate level came with any knowledge of Revit or any modeling tools. So basically what we did, we start with teaching these basic tools, then we moved toward coordination, Navisworks, Solibra, and so on. Also included some professional, because it's a department of civil engineering, so these tools like Robot or STAD or Airframe, whatever, okay? So, and that was it. And this year, I have to change my teaching programs because a few students were not aware of BIM tools since they finished the undergraduate level. So we included exporting to IFC, data management, and so on and so on. So what I see in the system, in the academia, is that we cannot fix on the something that we select and say, okay, it will be this way. And once the secondary school or vocational school will provide these new students on the undergraduate level aware of BIM tools, we then will probably be able to start something more advanced on the undergraduate level, which is right now it's not possible. So the adaptivity I see is it comes from the work we do at the university level to develop the programs, to make them broadly available, to offer them, of course, on the postgraduate level, and try to transfer to the secondary level schools. But right now, I'm focused on the academia and trying to move the BIM, the basic BIM skills, this BIM aware level, as the BIM Academic Forum in the UK called this, to the undergraduate level. So we could build very specialized BIM programs with construction management, with data management, with even business intelligence and data mining and so, because it's something that digital construction will need more and more. But already, you know, nothing has been done towards this. And as far as we don't have this education, this basic education moved to the undergraduate level, so we'll not be able to do something more advanced on the graduate and postgraduate levels. So to sum it up, adaptivity is the word, and I don't think that, in my opinion, there is a one system that we can, you know, fix and follow this. We should be open to the very fast changes on the market, very fast changes on the demand on the markets, and try to comply with these requirements, these needs, by adapting our teaching programs. And this is what I could say. So, yeah.
Okay.
And from the personal point of view, start as early as possible. I mean, if we are not talking about the system, but the person, so start as early as possible, even in the kindergarten. So it's possible. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jacek. And let's jump to the second question.
Okay, thank you. As you said, the BIM, it is the management of project management, construction management, data management, standardization, tools, modeling, etc., etc. And next question is important for this, because should BIM be a separate subject or specialization of engineering studies, or maybe it should penetrate throughout other classes? What is your opinion? Maybe Thomas.
Yes, thank you. So I think it shouldn't be an isolated BIM subjects. This is just not enough. We need a holistic approach as a university to give it to the students. And we started as a specialization. I think it's not the best way to do that, but that's what we need to build up our competencies for the professors, to build the BIM pool, the bunch of professors who are able to teach it, and to create the study materials and so on and so on. But up until it's only a specialization, one student can graduate from our university as a civil engineer who didn't hear anything about BIM in a course, in a dedicated course. And I think that's a problem. So I think in the near future, the BIM need to penetrate down to the lower level subjects. And I'm talking like, do the modeling in a BIM environment, then in steel structures, reinforced concrete structures, courses, let's import it from the IFC as a first step, and then later on do the analysis in the BIM environment. So BIM should penetrate in all the major courses. They need to use it. And at the end, that's the way the students will understand how to use it and why is it important. So my answer is, let's do BIM all over the curriculum. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I think the BIM education, the cooperation between architects, constructors, etc., yes, is most important.
That's very important, and that's why we can use the project work when the students can work in teams. That's what we can use it teach to BIM. And these project works enable to cooperate, for example, with our faculty of architecture, and then both architecture and civil engineering students can work on the same project, so they can work this cooperation even in their higher education studies.
Okay, thank you very much. Mahmoud, what is your experience with this?
For sure, there should be a separate subject, more precisely as a separate specialization of the BIM. It should be offered as an elective field for the Bachelors of Civil Engineering and the Architecture. Actually, BIM is a hub of different fields like data sciences, facility management, architecture, structural engineering, simulation and design, and bring them at one platform. So introducing BIM as a separate specialization will help us to create a big database for the BIM application that can actually facilitate all the mentioned fields. I can answer this question more precisely through a survey that I carried out among some of the students of BSc Civil Engineering program. You know, almost 80% of the students agreed to take it as an elective field as a specialization like structural engineering and management, as they clearly stated that every one of us wants to equip ourselves with knowledge of the BIM, but due to its mixing with several subjects or just teaching us its few topics in other subject doesn't make it clear to us. Thus, many of us remain unaware about the actual working of the BIM. Therefore, it is highly recommended that there should be the separate specialization or the degrees for the implementation of the BIM.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Jacek, you are the author of the BIM Education program, yes, for high school, for university in Poland. What is your opinion about this?
Yeah, definitely. I'm for the penetration of the professional BIM education. I mean by professional, for instance, for bridge engineers, road engineers, within their discipline. But then we need on the probably graduate level a higher level of BIM education, this integrated level. And the problem I see, it's really with the, we say very often in construction industry that there are silos of professions and they work separately, so there is no interchange of data, so there are so many problems with the quality and so on, so on. And it's also, it follows what we have at the universities. So students on the bridge program, they're not aware how the students of the road program work and think, and there is no cooperation. So ideally, the undergraduate level will develop the professional, the single professional skills, but we need a platform to integrate, to build so-called T-shaped personality. So one who is an expert in a road design or architecture will know how the construction engineers or bridge engineers work, and they can talk together on the BIM platform. This is the ideal situation for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Lucy, what is your opinion?
Well, I think in one hand, for people who need it today, like those mentioned undergraduates and graduates too, and professionals who need it to catch up with it right now, it is necessary to take it as a block and learn the main principles, the goals and the methods and procedures, so they can put it together with the context of their experience and use it right now. On the other hand, as I have mentioned earlier, my opinion is that BIM will become a natural part of the industry, so it's only natural to integrate it step by step into the appropriate educational subjects and to talk about BIM outcomes in this context. The same in high schools as in universities. We can't cut it away from the rest of the building and construction subjects. And in addition to it, a lot of lessons can be way more interesting with BIM. Just think about, for example, an English lesson where you may watch a video about building a skyscraper using BIM, using 3D modeling and a common data environment. I think this would be an interesting future of our lessons.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, so we skip to the next questions. Next question. I'd like to ask you if your country is already regulated or are you planning to regulate the standard of competences that BIM staff should have. For example, what BIM skills should have a structural engineer or architect? And maybe let's start with Muhammad this time.
Thank you, Dr. Marek. In Pakistan, BIM is emerging very fast. As you have heard the presentation of the Dr. Nasser, where he has discussed in detail the implementation of the BIM and the progress that is being made in Pakistan. There are still issues with its adaptation at the industrial level, but academicians are writing articles and carrying out research in the BIM very effectively. Professors who are tirelessly engaged as BIM trainer and working as the capacity building consultants for the big names of the consultancy and the construction industry in Pakistan. There are a few booklets written by some of the professors in Pakistan which are covering the aspects of the BIM implementation industry, especially one of them has been shown by Dr. Nasser during his presentation. Also, there are some articles published in some of the world, very well-renowned journals in which they are showing the of the BIM for the industry. Using the parameters of this implementation index, any company can measure its BIM implementation at a scale of and struggles are continuously made for its implementation in the industry, but the speed actually is not as it's in the research field. So I hope so it will be more precisely will be covered in the research and then in the industry.
Yeah. Thank you, Muhammad. I'd like to remind you that you can ask other questions. You can put them on the chat, and we'll ask our experts at the end and Q&A part of this panel discussion. And now, what about Lucy?
If we should regulate the standard of competencies, well, you know, I think we should all learn a kind of a general amount of knowledge about BIM to have certain standard level, all of us. But regarding the general regulation, well, in the Czech Republic, we are not regulated, but we are on our way to decide it. And there is this European Technical Committee working group which aims to analyze and consider this topic as possibility. So personally, I think that for a transitional period until we have this new generation of graduates, the standardization of competencies could help the industry professionals to get oriented in all sorts of new requirements. I don't think it would be necessary to regulate knowledge and skills for all positions, but it might help for them, for the main ones like BIM managers and BIM coordinators, for example. But we can ask ourselves another question, and it's the question, how is BIM affecting today the education in the building and construction field in general? And the answer is very simple. It's a lot, because there is one important assumption I want to emphasize. A consequence of all the digital transformation will very probably be a growing level of automation of the routine, elementary, and easy engineering tasks. That's why, in our understanding, BIM is not just a correct design and fast construction. It's not just a knowledge of how to use the most recent version of 3D modeling software tools and the most recent machinery or material. In our interpretation, we want to understand better the building process and the behavior, the interaction of participants involved in it. Because unlike the automated easy engineering tasks, the social and the environmental impact will still remain our responsibility. And through a deeper understanding of it, we want, of course, to manage it. That's why we all should create this standard level of knowledge in BIM.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lucy. Tamas, as we could hear and see in your presentation, you are responsible not only for the education program in your university, but generally in Hungary. So what's your opinion about it, about the regulations?
I think, first of all, I think it's a very good question. It is not regulated at all by the Hungarian Education Office, or how could I call it, or translate it to English. But if you check at the construction sites or at a construction company, you check the business cards. Many of them contains, I'm a BIM engineer, I'm a BIM manager, or I'm a BIM coordinator. What does it mean? How can we decide what competencies they have? So I think it's our responsibility for the regular programs, university programs. We check the learning outcomes. We aligned it to the European education system. So we have the standard of assessment. We have the standard of competencies, learning outcomes, whatever. And the way we've chosen is to cooperate with other universities. For example, first of all, with Pécs University. And we want, if any other universities want to launch this education, for example, this postgraduate education program, we share them our curriculum. We let them know what we teach, with what industrial partners, and therefore we can ensure the quality that we can put this almost the same level of the qualification. So I think that's one way to do that. And the other way to do that is keep cooperating with the industrial partners, because they have the demand, and at the end they will evaluate, they will assess the competencies of our students. So we need the feedback. So my answer is cooperate with other universities. It's easy in Hungary, for example, civil engineering, Sixth Institute has civil engineering programs. So I can cooperate with them. Two of them has the postgraduate program. One is planning to do that, the third one. So we help them. This is not a competition. In this level, we have the social responsibility to put the BIM in that level. So cooperate with universities, cooperate with industrial partners.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's listen to what is the Jacek's opinion about this.
Well, there is an old wisdom that the government should interfere with our things as less, as possible. So keep away government from the things. But on the other hand, we do need some regulation, some meaning for the certificate. And if we talk about the formal education, for instance, the university degree diploma has a regulation in this qualification framework that we all should comply with issuing the Master of Sciences diplomas or another diplomas. So within this perspective, yes, it should be regulated. It should be a framework for qualifications, a framework, but BIM is changing so fast and moving so fast that if government will, say that this is the competence required for the BIM manager, so next year they will be, probably too low. So we should really develop the qualification, certification in chambers of engineers, organization like we try to do in ECC BIM, okay? So because we keep the pace with the market, with the demand, with the level of industry in a country, because it depends on the country, on the maturity of the BIM projects in countries, it will depend on the scale of the project. But yes, we do some reference, some certification or any other proof of competence, because otherwise every public procurement will end up with, some declarations, some probably void competencies issued by offers, by tenders, because they say, okay, we have BIM managers, we have skilled people. The first pilot project that our highway authority brought to the market 2 years ago, we really did the exam for the BIM managers and BIM coordinators on the behalf of the highway authority. And this proved that some people passed and some not. But in the declaration, you see, they will say, okay, we have BIM manager, we have BIM coordinator. So the competencies, it's really something that we should certificate. But I'd like to see chambers of engineers and industry, as Thomas said, yes, cooperating, because this is moving, and the government should create framework, should create this qualification framework, even on the EU level. It could be on the European Union or international level. So it's the reference for the skills and experience required on the market. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacek. Dariusz, next question.
Yes. Next question. We know that the use of BIM methodology requires the education of investors and owners, especially public procurement. How do you ensure the inflow of this knowledge to staff working for public procurers in your countries? Maybe Tamas first.
Yes, thank you. Maybe you got bored about that. I always mention our postgraduate programs, but that's a good forum for them. So we organized a specialized engineering program in BIM, and it receives students with civil engineering, architectural engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, so all the trades involved. Obviously, most of them are civil engineers and architects. And we involved the industrial partners in teaching. For example, I put some of them in our final exam committee. Then they acknowledge it and they appreciate it. And they feel, okay, the university want to hear what I need, and then I send the students, my colleagues, to the program, and therefore we can semester by semester follow the latest development of the demands. But that's only a university program, postgraduate programs. We are also involved as a university creating BIM tutorials, BIM study materials. For example, if a governmental authority has some project to develop it, then they cooperate with us and we share our experiences. And what Jacek said, it's very important, the Chamber of Engineers. One side is very important about the licensing. There is no such thing as BIM licensed engineer in Hungary yet. Second of all, the Chamber of Engineers feels that their members need BIM education, and therefore they organize training. We need to find the healthy balance where to send colleagues to a Chamber of Engineers training and when to send it to the university training for 2 semesters and ending with a thesis work and a final exam. So we are cooperating with them in both aspects. Thank you.
Yes, but I think it's a different situation because the construction and project company needs the another education like the people from owners from government, for example. Yes.
You are very right. You are very right. The problem in case of a postgraduate program, for example, organized by a university, then that we can receive only students with an engineering degree. So that's a specialized engineer can be with a basic engineer degree. And these partners from the government or for the owners or whatever, in many cases they have financing degree or whatever. So we cannot let them in our university system. The only thing we can do to support these trainings organized by the Chamber of Engineers or by MOBIM, the Hungarian BIM Association, to provide material, to the learning materials, to the trainings. But we as a university don't organize a specified training because we believe that's our role, university programs, and we can only support the trainings for such persons.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Lucy, what is in Czech Republic?
Well, in the Czech Republic, the application of BIM will be mandatory for public procurers from July 2023. For all public projects exceeding a certain amount, there will be this legal obligation and public procurers will have to comply with it. So this information is publicly available and we still have time to get ready to it. So there are several education-related goals specified within our BIM strategy, and one of them is the educational concept for the public procurement sector that has to be accomplished. So the Czech Standardization Agency offers several educational programs covering such fields as the strategy for implementation of BIM into the organization, construction data standard, common data environment, new contractual items such as the BIM protocol, and in addition to it, estimating with BIM and BIM for facility management. And throughout those fields and courses and workshops we organize, we are trying to improve the perception of BIM by public investors and owners and strengthen their willingness to use the best of their experience and apply it to BIM principles. There are our university lifelong learning programs too, and this Petr, he mentioned previously the master degree program in a university in Ostrava. So we have a lot of programs to offer, but you can imagine it's really a challenge we are facing. Not only public procurers, there are many of them, but this target group is extremely resistant to changes. It's still a long way before the whole process will be completely modified, improved, tested on a pilot, and put into operation in the real life.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Mahmoud, what is in Pakistan situation with this?
Actually, in the Pakistan situation, as I have already mentioned, that the implementation of the BIM, as we are discussing with the industry perspective, like the industry is at a point where there is a need of implementation. It's not practically in the working condition right now in Pakistan, but the industry is actually trying to implement it. For that purpose, they are just trying to have, some more experts, some BIM trainers, implementers. So that's why our industry is just in the phase of getting some expertise for its implementation. And when these expertise are, to be very honest, when these expertise are at up to a certain level, then the implementation in the certain programs, in certain projects can be seen in the Pakistan. But so far, we are just at the stage where we are actually preparing ourselves, preparing our bag for the implementation in the industry.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. And I think will be the last question, yes?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. The last question. The question is about the academic staff. They usually do not work in BIM projects, and they have problems acquiring appropriate digital competencies. Meanwhile, they deal with educating students. So how, when, and by what methods to teach the academic staff? Therefore, should we employ licensed engineers at the universities? That's a big problem. What do you think about it? Let's start with Lucy.
Well, this is a good question, huh? I would like to give you a simple answer. Actually, some of our university teachers work on BIM projects and recommend it as the best way for acquiring the appropriate level of knowledge. But I understand it's not possible for all of them. Well, the main target is to give the best education, not really to teachers, but to our students. And my opinion is that the solution lies in a combination of both. In one hand, we can, as you mentioned, employ licensed engineers at universities where the best theoretical knowledge of the academics and the practical skills can start. On the other hand, an obligatory practical training for students could be a part of the solution. Professional experience acquired during some, let's say, 6 months or so internship, they would work for a real company, they would solve real project issues, they would work with real professionals, all within their studies. They would learn how to apply the theory in practice and receive appropriate credits for it. Of course, you need a list of verified companies willing to invest their time and knowledge in new students, but once again, this effort would pay off as the company could then employ the graduate they trained. So the benefits would be mutual.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lucy. Muhammad, we had the chance to see the presentation of Dr. Abdur from Islamabad. Definitely you and him, you get digital competencies, you know what it really means, BIM, and how it's about the rest of the staff at your university.
Very general. I would second the opinion of Dr. Lucy, but with certain modification. The best approach is to start it by using the faculty development programs. The institute where BIM is going to be introduced as a specialization field should first hire some BIM experts, as she said, some technicians who should start with the development of the faculty for the BIM implementation at the institute level. There should be a proper course for the faculty members, like probably for 2-3 months, the end of which should make everyone enabled as a BIM trainer. Alongside, there should be short courses of 1-week training program for the faculty at the start of every academic semester. In this way, the junior faculty member who will be going to teach BIM courses in the respective semesters will get some necessary briefing from the seniors experts. Also, there should be some monthly progress meetings of the junior colleagues during the semester. In this way, the expert will be involved till the deep level in the BIM education, and their young colleagues will also get some motivation that they have been backed up by the experienced people in the BIM industry. So in this way, I think so we should start preparing our staff to have a BIM education, and when they are fully equipped with this education, then they can definitely produce a lot of BIM experts in this particular field.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Muhammad. Maybe you don't know it, but yesterday we had a discussion, online discussion with Tamás and Muhammad about the staff which is at BME University in Budapest. So what's your opinion? Just say a few words coming from our yesterday discussion, Tamás.
Yes, thank you. It's really a good question, because I mentioned several times cooperative training, cooperative programs when we can when the industry can support the higher education programs, but it's very hard. If you just ask for guest lectures, that works, but they are not professors, it's another profession, so it's, even if they are an excellent engineers, it's very hard to propagate this knowledge and whatever, and in a structured way, what we do in our programs. Most of our professors have industrial experiences, and around half of them are licensed engineers themselves, because many of the professors have also own business. Besides the R&D projects of the faculty, of the departments, they gain industrial experiences through their private businesses. So that turned out, when I built our BIM pool, that okay, I'm ready. I'm working in BIM for 5 years, so what do you need? So that was one thing. Besides, we sent the professors to trainings, as I mentioned, to software trainings. And it's, again, I want to put the emphasis on, as a university, we don't teach software as a tool. We teach software as a tool for a holistic approach. And the students need to learn what information content, what are the possibilities, and where to use another tool or whatever. Mm. So that's the level of the regular education. The way we can teach, and I heard one presentation, I forgot the name of the presenter, but someone mentioned it's not a big problem if a professor is not high-level professional in BIM, because they can learn together with the students. So the way we do, we issue scientific student research conference topics, thesis topics in BIM, which is a very specified area of the BIM, so not just basic modeling or basic clash detection or whatever. And then through a semester, a professor with one student, one industrial consultant, advisor, they can work on a project, or the thesis project, for example, of a student, and then they can learn it together. The same thing with PhD topics, the PhD programs. We continuously issue new and new PhD topic areas even in international education programs in the field of BIM. And then with the professor, they learn it together. So it turned out that many of our professors have already experience in BIM, but the juniors, as Muhammad told me, it's a very good way, the juniors, to see how the seniors teach it. But if the seniors don't have the competence, we can train them, and we need for them motivated professors. I don't know what your situation in your country is, but our professors are overloaded. We have more and more administrative issues to deal with to get the finance for the departments. So it's very hard to say, okay, we have 2 new courses and let's do it from next semester, because you need to prepare that. It's a huge work to get prepared to build up a new course, a new program. So we need to motivate the professors. So, for example, in this BIM pool at BME, it's voluntary. So if you don't want to do that, don't do that. The department want to join, then they assign some professors with it, or they can say that, okay, I want to get involved. So basically, this is what is going on at BME.
Thank you, Tamás. You made me sad because I was thinking about moving to Budapest, and you just told me that you are always also overloaded and it's a lot of bureaucracy. It's really pity to hear it, unfortunately. Currently, we have one question on chat, so maybe I will ask Jacek yet to answer for this question about the staff. You are also a staff at the University of Krakow, so are you ready to answer for the question?
Well, I'll try. Surprise me.
Yeah, so just let's stay with this question about teaching the staff, staff education.
Well, it's really the problem with that, you know, the older generations probably won't stick to BIM. So we should really make room for the younger people. One of the principles of the Agile Manifest is that the best results are achieved by self-organizing groups or teams. And this self-organization you can really see among the younger assistants, PhD students, and this is something that we should probably go with. I mean, to develop new generation of academia staff than trying to force the older ones, because probably it would be very hard. But we tried on the Krakow University of Technology use the POWER program, which is a EU-sponsored fund for a transformation of many of industry and educational systems. So the POWER funds we use to develop some programs and training for teachers to offer BIM aware. I mean, to teach them the tools and teach them the way of work. But it's really hard to implement the BIM on the interdiscipline level and so on. So what we see, for instance, on the postgraduate level courses, we offer the Wyższa Szkoła Bankowa in Poznań, where I work with Darek and other people from ECC BIM, and also other university has these postgraduate courses or programs, like 2 semesters, and a lot of participants comes from academia. They seek some, you know, real background and contact with industry people, but because at this postgraduate level programs, it's a lot of experts from the industry. So I think for the academia, this postgraduate courses it's a very important, at the moment, a very important thing to develop and keep an eye. And second, for this is the university authorities. They should support. This is a problem with budget, with some strategy to develop the digital competencies among the staff. And this is something that, you know, there's a lot of bureaucracy. These all deans, rectors, all these authorities deal with so many things that probably this particular thing somehow is, you know, put aside. So probably it should be some sort of BIM representative of a dean or rector at the university level to keep an eye, to build the strategy, and act as an executive to follow this path.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jacek. we have one question. Oh, that's I think it will be another one. However, let's start with the first question. Everything is so dynamic. The question is from someone outside Europe. Probably, as I can recognize, it's from India. The question is about language. Working as a BIM engineer, BIM manager in Europe, is it necessary to learn local languages, or it's possible to work only with English? I don't know who is going to answer for this question, because the second part of the question is to Lucy, so maybe Tamas.
Okay, so our education programs, what I mentioned to you, are all in Hungarian. Although 1/3 of our students got admitted to this semester are from abroad, so they are international students. And for example, in case of PhD students, there are twice as more PhD students got admitted to a program in a year than Hungarian students. And if I ask a student, a Hungarian student, are you willing to work in an international environment? Are you ready to work with foreign colleagues, whatever? They say yes, yes, yes. And when I say, okay, what if I launch my MSc program, the faculty's MSc program, only in English? No, 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 I don't want to learn it. So they have this kind of obstacle. They cannot believe they can learn so much. So the way we learn it, we use only the English version of software. We use only in the Hungarian education. We use, if possible, English language tutorials. We send them to English courses or whatever. So, but the language of instruction in the classes is in Hungarian. Sooner or later, in our BSc program, we want to teach this BIM to international students also, but I think I see a huge potential to transform all the MSc programs in English sooner or later. You see what is going on in Netherlands, in Germany, they already do it. So I think sooner or later our MSc programs will be in English, and then students will be able to study in English even in BSc level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I noticed the same problem in my university. Of course, BIM Basic is already in English as well. However, that will be a huge problem, huge challenge to switch all the topics, all the subjects into English. How about in Czech Republic, Lucy? Or the curriculum, everything is prepared in Czech language, or it's possible to work in English?
Well, you heard or saw maybe the presentation of the University of Ostrava. Their program is in English. So all the others are in Czech. And I think the university in Prague offers some courses in English related to BIM as well. But, well, working in a foreign country requires, of course, basic knowledge of the foreign language. If you want to go in other country, you should understand what they are asking you for, and you should know how to express some basic things you need. And Mohammed mentioned the thing. If you want to communicate with your supervisor, you need to find a common language. And well, plans and details and the 3D model can cover and resolve many of questions. And sometimes one model is better than 1,000 words, but come on. We should all know some basics of English, at least.
Yeah. And the last question from the same person from India. Maybe I'll read it, and you will decide who will be ready to answer for that. As a master's student in BIM engineering, how can I prepare myself for a BIM engineer in addition to the curriculum? Since it is a new course introduced this year, what are the means to gain knowledge using various means? Of course, we don't know the curriculum, but maybe you have some experience from your universities or your countries. Yeah, Tamas?
Just very shortly. Yeah. Go to an internship, go to a company, and don't waste time in internships just doing, like, I don't know, just low-level jobs, but go to BIM companies and deal with it in the summer course, and then besides university, you can get a job. So as soon as possible, get industrial practice.
Very practical answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Tamas.
I'll add, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
All the time I say to my students, once you are on the market, after a year or so, take a project management certification. It's well worth, because BIM positions already are tightly connected to management, to project management. And this is something that the standard students on the construction or architecture or whatever discipline, that they do not have these skills developed during the university years. So this PMP or Prince2 or whatever certification could be so useful and giving, you know, a spring towards the career, and could be of great help. So I advise also to consider taking part in this training and certification, because it will greatly help.
Mm-hmm. Muhammad, you decided a few years ago to do a master in Central Europe. Currently, you are doing a PhD study, this time in Poland. So again, Central Europe. What is your opinion about, you know, this mixture of languages, cultures in Central Europe? What could you advise to your colleagues in Pakistan or India?
To be very honest, like working in Hungary, working in Poland, and working with the people of this area, it's quite a good experience. But you know, sometimes the only major problem is actually the language barriers. So when we are trying to do some experience in these areas, the only thing that we can do is we can make our competencies as strong as possible while working with the local peoples. Although there are the issues of the language, but to be very honest, it can be minimized, it can be overcome when we're here practically doing the things, practically working in lab, practically doing something on the research. Because, you know, even in these areas, you know, the major thing is that the people are even encouraging the locals to go for the English. And I think so, being the person who has got basic degrees, their high school in the English language, so I think so it's not very difficult to deal with the things. And I will definitely encourage, because, you know, the boom that I am seeing in the Eastern Europe and in this area where I'm currently working, it would be I think so. Okay, I think so that it would be something a career-changing opportunity for anyone who is planning to do such type of degrees or such type of professional experiences from these areas.
Thank you, Muhammad. That was the last question. Thank you. That was the last question on chat. We are exactly on time, so thank you all experts for this discussion. We'll go for a short break, coffee break, which will be after the break. We will have first show session, and we start exactly 3:15 p.m. So stay with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.